come. I don't think he's been bought to score 35 goals.
The ultimate team player, isn't he?
He's a team player, and the way they function, he enables others to be able to perform. And look at his touch map over there; it's crazy.
He's a dream nine for me personally, an absolute dream nine. Modern game nines. First and foremost, you need to give us a platform out of possession. That's how we need to build our game, and most coaches now see that he's second to none. How he can slow an attack down just from his angles to stop a pass going through the lines, and then on the flip side of that, has got the brilliance and the silkiness at times to bring people in. He's when you sign a player, when you're recruiting players, you're ticking boxes. What league they're coming from? Have they played in this league? Is language going to be a problem? Is it? You've signed a player there that's practically ticked.
And the team he's come from, everyone's talking about Haaland and how good he is. And he's like, well, do you know what? I wasn't going to get a chance there. I was sat behind Aguero. I did that for so long. And now they've brought Haaland. I'm not doing that again. He's been given his wings, to be fair. His manager, Pep, is something that I like about that. He's allowed him to leave. And boy, is he performing. And he wants that badly. He wants to stop his former teammates from winning a Premier League. And the challenges have been set now by Arsenal. That has raised the bar at their quality, their performance today.
I think people are going to keep talking about goals because he's a number 9, of course. But he brings so much value to this team that I don't think I'd argue that no other player in this team there would be a bigger drop off if they left the team than him. Yeah. Arguably maybe Saliba, but Gabriel Jesus stands out.
And as you know, success leaves clues, right? So you have to keep ticking the boxes when you're going to. Who knows if they're going to win the Premier League or not, but you keep ticking boxes as the season goes through. And this is another big tick for them to come here, perform like this and get this win.
I think for 2 reasons. Yes, it's Chelsea, a big club, who are competing for the top 4 as well. But I think when you get a result like you had yesterday, with Man City winning so late on, these guys would have been watching that game. And the emotions that fill you at those moments, this is a rival going for the title, even though this early in the season. But it is, all of a sudden, big pressure then goes on to this game. Can you deal with it? Yes, they did.
Well, let's actually pick up on that because I'm delighted to say that Mikel Arteta joins us now. Mikel, first of all, congratulations, winning your 150th game in charge of Arsenal.
Thank you.
Ria was just talking about Manchester City getting that late win yesterday and then you responding today. How much did you think about that ahead of this game and the need to respond at the top?
Well, obviously, we want to get back and being at the top, but obviously the competition is so difficult in this league. The job was for us, I think the challenge for us was to come to this stage against a top team in the league and play and perform the way we've done today and deserve to win the game, and the boys did that.
Well, all the guests in the studio have been talking about what impressed them the most with Arsenal today. What impressed you the most?
I think for such a young team, the maturity that they showed, the composure they showed, the resilience and the courage, I would say, to play the way we wanted to play, it was phenomenal. And it's easy to say before the game, but actually to do it on the pitch against this opponent and this kind of players, it's a different story.
Mikel, it's Rio here. Great result today. The scenes at the end, there seems to be a real belief, a togetherness that's kind of built in this team now. Are you feeling that from within as well?
Absolutely, we've been saying that for a while, but obviously winning in these stadiums against these opponents, I think, is an extra thing. I think it's another step for this team, for this player to keep believing that they can do it. They can do it in under pressure and against big opponents, and we have to enjoy it because what they've done today, I think they deserve a lot of credit.
Boss, Martin here. Just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations. I thought the team was brilliant again today. Lots of talk about the number 9 playing for Chelsea today, but Jesus, his performance, I mean, we're just talking here, he covers every blade of grass, and the example he sets those players, you must have been really, really pleased with him.
The energy, the belief that he transmits to the team is just phenomenal. That's, in my opinion, his biggest quality. His all-around play today, I think it was phenomenal. How he competes, how he holds the ball, the movement, the anxiety that he creates in the backline, the uncertainty that creates for the opponent. It's something that takes us to a different level, and we said that from the beginning, and he's done it today again. He didn't score, but what he did for the team, I think it was outstanding.
Mikel, it's Rio again. Just another thing we touched on just shortly after the game was the way that you kind of dominated the opposition today without the ball, in the way that you pressed them. Is that something that you really have to work hard on the training ground, and are you pleased with what you're seeing at the moment?
Absolutely, but the boys are willing and they are physically capable of doing it, and their understanding of timing, spaces, units, and how they have to do it is getting better and better every single day, and they want to do it. They feel much comfortable playing that kind of game, that playing a different way. They feel it, and when somebody feels it, I think it's much more efficient when he needs to do it.
Look, Mikel, the final question from us. Who knows what this season brings for you? All you'll be doing, I'm sure, is concentrating on the most number of points possible. But you've got something completely different to deal with, which is this huge break in the middle of the season. The World Cup is coming up after you've played Wolves. What are you planning? Because I know you're a man that plans for everything. What are you doing to make sure that this World Cup doesn't sort of cause too much disruption and derail the form that you've found?
That plan is not finished yet. We are planning to win again on Wednesday and to win again on Sunday, and they will have time to finalize what we have to do. We have some ideas of how we can help our players to maintain, first of all, the mental state in the right way for the ones that they're going to be here and the ones that are going to be in the World Cup, and then how we're going to reunite everybody. But I think for every manager, every club is going to be a challenge because it's unprecedented.
Is communication the key for those players, especially that aren't with you?
Yes, and try to maintain them involved, but at the same time, they have to focus on the national teams, and they won't have time to do that after next week, and we cannot be too much on top of them because we don't want to add pressure. We're going to give them support and hope for the best, and I will see what the future brings.
Good man. Well, look, one more game before the break, and then I would say enjoy a bit of time on the beach, but knowing you, that won't be part of the plan.
It is actually part of the plan, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Actually, in some ways, from one manager to another, to have that as part of the plan probably is quite important.
1,000,000% that's going to be needed. Look, this is someone who, like every manager in the Premier League, you're at the forefront of it, highly stressed, real intense environment. For sure, there won't be no harm whatsoever in terms of Mikel literally taking breath a little bit and recharging the batteries and then going again after that, because he's going to be right in the thick of it, like we've said, really.
Martin, look at those stats on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, that is very respectable what he's doing there now. It's interesting, actually, under Pep, he won 2 Premier Leagues as an assistant manager, so he knows the course. He's done it. I think they won a couple of League Cups, they won an FA Cup. He now is going to have to, he's been spinning plates for fun in this process. So it's about keeping himself motivated when they come back, isn't it? Saying all the right things and making sure that all these players are coming back. Okay, it'd be nice if a World Cup winner comes back into the dressing room as well. That'd be a nice problem to deal with. But then they've got to pick up as they've left off. I mean, there's couple of more games to go. They play Brighton Wednesday and they've got Wolves to follow. But the momentum at the moment is brilliant. And he's just got to take that time to enjoy it. You can see the focus, can't you? You see how desperate he is. He doesn't really want a break, but he'll take it and enjoy it. But I'm pretty certain when they come back, they're going to do something special.
Okay, and maybe on the flip side, Graham Potter and Chelsea, maybe a break is exactly what they need. It gives him more time to
today. Well, I think we played against a team in a really good moment, a confident team. You can see the points they have, so credit to them. The boys gave everything. It was a huffing and puffing performance from us without the real quality that we need. We've got some few situations, 4v4, 3v3 in the box, but missed that last little bit. But overall, I think Arsenal deserved to win. And whilst the goals are disappointing, and over the course of the game, we haven't too much complaints with the result.
Was there a lack of urgency? Certainly lacked a bit of rhythm, didn't you?
I wouldn't say urgency. I think it was a game. It's tried to be you have to look at where the two teams are at. Arsenal, like I said, are in a good moment, good confidence. Been working together for a long time and a good understanding of what they're trying to do, and we're probably in a different phase. So it depends how the game wants to look for us. We will try to make it a little bit more of a London derby, shall we say, and hence maybe that's where we lacked a little bit of quality, but the effort was there, like I said. We just beaten by the better team today.
And some irritation that it was a set piece, a corner went through a few bodies, didn't it?
Yeah, it was not a great goal from our perspective. We defended those situations quite well. But again, I don't want to zoom in too much on that. The overall is just an indication of where we have to work, where the process is, what we have to do better. And like I said, that's where we know we're at.
Aubameyang didn't have a great game today. Was it service? What was missing again?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think again, it's part of the team. Like I said before, we didn't function as fluently as we would like. But like I said, there's always two teams on the pitch, and you have to understand where they're from and where they're at. They come in a good moment with some good players and a good structure. Mikel's done a good job there. So you can see the points they have in the Premier League. They're in a good place. We're slightly different, and you can have those moments in a season. What's important is we We understand where we're at. We understand what the work is, what we have to do better, and then execute it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
He used the word project. I mean, he's a pragmatic manager. We understand where we are. We understand the work that needs to be done. I think there's a message there from Graham Potter that this is not only an injury-ravaged team, but far from the finished product of a Chelsea Graham Potter side.
I think from what we've seen from Graham Potter in recent years, he's a very balanced person. He's not going to be too high when they're winning, not going to be too low when they've lost. I think he'll look at this and he understands exactly where they were. That was the tone of that interview there. We're nowhere near where we need to be, but we're very early stages in the project we're trying to develop. So he understands that, and Arsenal are 3 years ahead of where they are. So they're more developed. We spoke about being a well-oiled machine. They are that. They proved that today. A difference in contrast between the two teams.
The challenge is you can listen to that interview from Graham, and you can understand it. Then you can go onto social media and look at what Chelsea fans are saying, and it's a very different mood. So how, as a manager, do you get the balance right between getting people to buy into a long-term project, but making sure that the short-term improvement is enough to allow you to carry out the project?
Well, that's the biggest balance now. The biggest balance as a manager, certainly for Graham, is the noise, what's going to surround him and surround Chelsea over results or whatever that may be, really. And I think, again, I know we keep referencing and keep referring to Arsenal. Arsenal, not just Mikel Arteta, look at Arsenal as a whole, the whole package with Arsenal. And the security and the confidence that Mikel has been able to bring this team, that's what Graham's going to need here. And of course, then after that, look, the outside influences, if there's one big change, what certainly as a manager, when I stand in a changing room, is the outside influences. That was never really the case when we was probably playing as much. And you're always constantly trying to deliver a message or trying to get the team on the same page. Where it makes it much more difficult for you as a manager is if people in the organisation are diluting that in any way. And certainly what Graham's going to need is an owner and everyone else around the football club exactly like
I thought he spoke well, actually, though, because he's supportive of his team. He's very honest. He's talking about relationships and the stage that they're at. And it's work in progress, really. And that's really what we're seeing. And there's no real fluency in their play. It didn't function. He said all of those things. But we then now see the next step is to put all of that right. And I expect he will be a manager who can do that. He can certainly get his message across to the players. But I think, first of all, he needs to work out what he really thinks is the best formation for this group. And we've had a succession of different formations.
I think it's difficult though for him, Mark, because he's got injuries. You look at his backline, decimated. Fofana, massive signing. Reece James, probably the most influential, best player in his team over the last year. Ben Chilwell at the weekend. There's injuries all over the place. Kante, integral players in a team that he hasn't been able to use. And you think, well, what if he did have just those 4 or 5 players there?
Yeah, but I'm looking at Kovacic on the bench and thinking, actually, I love the way he stitches things together. I think he's neat, tidy, and he would have actually maybe offered a little bit more in midfield today. So we've all got opinions, but like he's got to work out which ones are the players that are going to make him successful, and he has to do it in record time. It's different from being at Brighton. You know, and today I thought players didn't really play to their normal level. They played below their level, but when he was the manager of Brighton, he increased the level of the group around him. So somehow he's got to create that magic with the group.
We sit here with hindsight and time. We sit here after watching 45 minutes. We can speak to a producer. I can ask someone to stop him. We're sitting here with time on our hands to now judge. And then also what we're sitting here with is hindsight. Yeah. Should have played him. Should have played this way, didn't affect that. In the heat of the moment when they're in there, this is at this present moment in time, 2 months being into a football club, Graham is learning things in the moment. He's learning things in the arena at this present moment in time, in the biggest league in the world. And things, you know, they're the big challenges of what every manager faces, to be honest with you. And the best get it, the best recognise it, the best then can produce their teams to recognise it, like we were speaking at the top of the show with Arsenal and how the players are recognising it. But certainly, like I said, we're...
In fairness, Arteta's been through this process, hasn't he? Yeah. Just a couple of years ago, but he then wins an FA Cup in that first season, which gives him a little bit more time than wins the Community Shield. So ultimately, you've got to win trophies, though, when you come to manage at Chelsea Football Club.
Are you going to defend pundits or what?
For what?
Having all the opportunity, all the hindsight. But
and the producer.
What else do you do, though? What else do you...
We have it as well after the game. You know, as managers, Graham would be going over this game like we all do, and after the game, no doubt tonight he'll go back over the game, and with hindsight now, he's thinking should have played him, shouldn't have played him, maybe. And after time, with having to go through the game, you then have them moments where you go, right, that ain't good enough. But that's process.
Yeah, and that's you know what that is as well. He's going to be looking at that, and he's probably learning more about some of the players right now in these moments when it isn't going well in defeat. Character, personality. Who's brave now when things aren't going well? It's learning the makeup of the individuals, then it can bring it as a collective. But you do need that one element that not many people get, which is time.